Welcome back to Spinning Textured Fiber. This is part 2. Let's dive right in. So to match this hackle-blended fiber that I've spun here, I pulled out some samples from my dye binder. Besides turquoise, we have here a Kelly green and a chartreuse. I wanted colors that matched fairly well, nothing too crazy. So I went ahead and split this braid of merino in half and dyed 1/2 turquoise and 1/2 a 50-50 mixture of chartreuse and Kelly green in my trusty crock pot. If you're curious about how I dyed these, I do have a video on dyeing fiber in a crock pot. You could check it out. So now the question is, do I just, do one singles green, one singles turquoise, or alternate? And what I decided to do instead is I am going to blend these two colors together on the hackle. Let's do a smooth blend this time so we can compare this chunkier blend versus a smooth blend, put it all together and see what we get. All right, let's get started. Okay, once again, I've set up my hackle and I'm going to start with the green first, adding it straight across fairly thinly. Remember, this time we're going for a smooth blend rather than a thick blend. And then adding in that turquoise on top, again trying to be as light of hand as possible. You could continue this method until you have enough fiber on your hackle, but this can be time consuming. So the way I prefer to do it is holding both colors together. See how nice and even and much quicker this goes? I like to flick my wrist back and forth to make sure I'm getting a fairly even amount of each color in different areas throughout. I had this Firestar in my stash with a very similar color combination, so why don't we add some of that in? It's nice and smooth, unlike, say, like a sari silk or even Firestar, where it's going to sort of be sticking up in areas. So this keeps with our theme of a smooth blend. It is a nylon product, so if you don't like to add those in with your fiber blending, I totally get it. It just adds a little bit of a shimmer and definition, so I thought, what the hey, let's give it a go. And I'm just going to continue layering on in this manner until I get the hackle pretty much full, about 1/2 to 3/4 full. So let's speed this up a bit and get to the dizzing off. Okay, let's diz off a roving here. I'm going to feed some of this fiber through my diz, and it's going to appear like I'm pulling really hard here. It's actually not the case. It's a firm, even pressure that you should use, but the more gentler you are with it, the more fiber you will get through your diz. Now, I am struggling a bit. My wrists have been bothering me. This is what happens when you have a lot of repetitive motion because you do a lot of cooking, gardening, and spinning. Oh, hello, Mr. Peanut. He's come to inspect my work as usual. So yes, if you take a nice light pressure but be firm with it, it comes off fairly easy. But man, yeah, my wrists, I'm finding it hard to grip at the moment. I don't know why I didn't put off doing this another day. I just wanted to get this filmed, and I think I was also very excited and curious to see how it was all going to blend together. Okay, look at how nicely blended this is. In contrast to doing all that textured blending I like to do with my hackle. Here is a nice smooth one, and I would say this rivals those commercial blended fibers you get. It's lovely. So I've got about 4 of these all together, and of course the pieces that I pull off that I call mini bats. I'm going to get these spun up, and then I'll decide from there what I want to do, if I just want to do a 2-ply or a 3-ply. You know I love 3-plies these days. So I also wanted to show the hackle number 2 video fiber. We have quite a bit of it. I went ahead and just dyed some more merino in that spruce color and intentionally did the whole fade out thing. You can see my video I have on dyeing in a crock pot if you want to see how I achieve this. Basically, I put the fiber in dry and let the dye uptake at a different rate. I prefer to do this because you don't have to worry about felting, right? The more you like wet your fiber, move your fiber around, the more chance you have felting. This is not felted at all. So, plus I like the variance in the color. It's interesting to me. So that is where we are at this stage in the development of these yarns. I am going to get to work and start spinning and be back with an update once I have the singles completed, and we'll see where we go from there. So I've spun most of that new blended fiber to go with the fiber from the first hackle video. So as a reminder, that was the first roving that I pulled off the hackle in that video. This one is textured, and it was also spun S, so I had to find fiber that I could spin in the same direction because I typically don't spin my singles S to the left. And so this is what it looks like. Let me see if I still have a little bit. I do. I haven't completely spun it all yet, but it's fascinating to think that this is fully blended, where this one was half blended, so half of the hackle one color, half the other, and then pulled off. So you get this self-striping thing, where this is like really blended into one, almost a homogeneous color, although if you look at it, you can see some tones that are more blue than green and so forth. But for the most part, it's this nice kind of greenish color. So those two will go together. And then I want to do a 3-ply, but I want to do something completely different to experiment. And I happened to find some bamboo that I had dyed a very similar color profile. So we're going to have 2 singles in our 3-ply that are merino and one that's bamboo. I'm trying to think if I've ever done this before. I have done a mixture of different wools where one singles is one kind of wool and the other singles is another, but I don't know if I've ever done like a man-made vegetable fiber like bamboo, for example, mixed with wool, what this will actually mean. So we will experiment together and see what happens. And the other thing I have to keep in mind is that this is all of this that I have. It might not be enough. It actually probably isn't enough. So then I have to kind of decide, well, I'm going to dye some more. I'm just going to dig in the stash and see if I have something very similar or some color that might be harmonious with that. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I want to get plying this 3-ply. So the second hackle video that I had posted, so we had this fiber. It's kind of like a dark green with inclusions. I said it looks very Christmassy to me. I am currently spinning this teal merino to go with that. And I'll be honest, I'm getting very sick of spinning. Not that I could ever get sick of spinning, but it's just been a lot. I want these projects over. This one I'm probably going to keep as a 2-ply, and then it will showcase all these inclusions really nicely with the 2 colors that are similar. I did dye this using a technique that I call ugly dyeing. I'm thinking I am not going to use this with this to make a 3-ply. It would be an interesting contrast, but I'm going to keep this for a separate video so I can show you this ugly dyeing technique, as I call it, which is low water in a pan and I just essentially sprinkle all kinds of color on and let it do its thing. It's sort of a nightmare. Most people think, oh my gosh, muddy color. But I find, regardless of making a mess, that the yarn tends to come out beautifully. At least I've not met one that I haven't liked. So I think we'll keep that for another video. There was also some bamboo that I dyed with that technique alongside the merino. So that's for another time. I guess I am going to get back to work this evening plying this yarn and spinning the singles for the second one. And once I have a yarn to show you, I'll get back with an update. So fingers crossed, I'm really hoping I get in there and I'm not like, ooh, I don't like this together. But I don't think so. I think the colors are very harmonious, so I think it will be quite interesting. Stay tuned. Before I soak this new green yarn, I wanted to show you a section that went really awry here with the bamboo singles. I actually split this into 2 skeins and ran out of that greenish color bamboo that matched. So I had this cream color, yellowish color. I thought I would spin it up, and for some reason, either I was just really too tired and impatient or just something went wrong. So I am going to give this a soak, maybe a thwack or 2. We'll see if that settles in, and if not, luckily this is at the end of skein 2. I'm just going to go and remove that portion, potentially re-spin it and reset it. But let's get this soaked first and see what it looks like before we head in that direction. So I'm ready to start plying that second group of roving from the hackle blending videos that I did. And no surprise, I have changed my mind. So I was looking at it the other night and I thought, okay, let's do a 3-ply. I'm going to take that hackle blended fiber. I'm going to split the bobbin into 2. So there's 2 plies there. And then with that spruce fiber that I also spun. So there's the 3rd ply. So I've split it. I eyeballed it. If you want to do this more, you know, technically to get it closer and you're a fairly even spinner, weigh bobbin, run some off, weigh it until you get it to be about the same size. I was lazy the other night. I'm like, I'll just eyeball it. It'll be close enough. So I use my e-spinner for this just so I can do it really quickly. And all I do is just run it at a fairly high rate, use my hand to sort of guide it to make sure it doesn't get tangled or crazy. It doesn't really add that much more twists to it, and nothing that you have to worry about anyway for it to be wonky. So we have this, and then there's our 3rd ply. So it's Saturday. This is my project for tonight. I'm kind of excited to be able to do some spinning. I've taken a few days off because that shoulder's been bothering me again. Anyway, there we're at, and I'll be back with an update soon. Okay, show and tell time. We have a couple different projects to go over today. So I actually had to write notes because I will never remember all the sizes of all the yarn. But so for that first project with the lighter green, so we have a 3-ply, 2 of them with the fiber I blended on the hackle, and then 1 singles in this 3-ply was a bamboo. So it was an interesting experiment. I ended up breaking it into 2 skeins just because looking at the size, I figured I am going to be playing bobbin chicken, and I would just much rather have it easily be 2 almost even sizes, so then I don't have to worry so much about, oh, I got like this much left. I guess I'm just gonna have to like ply that off and make this tiny mini skein. So those are really manageable. It feels really soft. It does have a little bit of a different texture because it has the bamboo. I'm thinking like this would be great for weaving, for example, but I would knit with it as well. It's not that much different. And it doesn't have as much boing factor as you would with just straight out merino or wool in general. And it all worked out really well. Okay, so how much length did I end up getting? So for this, I have the skein number 1 is at 362 wraps per inch, or sorry, 362 yards. And the second one is at 260 yards. Now the second one is a little smaller because I had that strange upset at the end. So a little background on this. So I'm spinning away and I'm just like, okay, I'm really tired of this project now. I want to get it over and done with. I did end up finding some more like blues and green bamboo in my stash that match this, but it still wasn't enough to finish the project. So I'm like, okay, well, here's a cream color. This one probably would match. And I think by this point I was so over spinning, I just decided to use my Lendrum with the fast flyer where everything else had actually been spun like, well, that's not true because I did spin a little bit of the extra green and blue on the fast flyer as well, just out of laziness. I didn't feel like changing it back out to the other head, and it worked fine. So when I got to the end, it was doing this weird, almost like it had been spun in the wrong direction, but I knew for certain that wasn't the case. Two different things I think going on. The bobbin was full, so you're not getting as much rotation, but it had a lot of twist in it from it being done on the fast flyer on my Lendrum. So, and I think my hands just weren't keeping up with it because I just wanted to be over and done with. And that's where we saw that weird kind of thing going on at the end. So luckily that was at the end of the skein. So all I had to do was, ball that up and run it. I ran it through again onto my e-spinner, and this time it worked fine. So this one has a little bit more twist in it, but fixed that problem where everything was kind of really wonky and not making sense. Once that was done, I soaked it again, gave it just a crack on the side of the house to thwack it, let it dry, and that was that. So if you've ever wondered, can you respin or reset your yarn? I do it all the time. You absolutely can. So how much different is this one to the other two? Well, the other two are a 13 wrap per inch, which is DK. This ends up to be an average of 14 wraps per inch, which is also DK. So I probably won't use it together with the other two, but you probably could get away with it depending on what the project is, and you wouldn't notice much of a difference. So that is the green one. What do you think of these colors? So again, we had that lovely 2 division colors that would have been a nice self-striping yarn, and I went, of course, because I need to experiment, and I paired it with something that was really well blended and then a completely different fiber altogether. So the final project was the dark green, and this is the main skein here. So I ended up doing 2 singles with that textured fiber, 1 single with a smooth merino fiber that had been dyed a similar color, that spruce color. And look at that. This is the effect that I love with doing these textured yarns. You see these little dips and bloops? It's super soft, but it has so much interesting texture in there. This will be really fun to knit with. It's not a typical color that I normally work with, so that's great. So I had a little bit left, just the way that I had divided up the textured fiber, because remember, I didn't actually weigh it. I just kind of eyeballed it. So what I ended up doing is I did 2 plies of the smooth merino spruce and 1 ply of the textured fiber. So that is the opposite. But let's see, can we get a comparison? See if you can see. It's very similar. This one is more green. This one has more of a darker tone to it, which you probably can't see on the camera. But anywho, this one ended up being, so the big skein is 258 yards. The little guy is 64 yards, and it's 10 wraps per inch average. So this is a worsted weight yarn. So whew, there you have it. There is my hackle blended fiber made into a finished product of Handspun yarn. Thanks so much for joining me again this month for another spinning project. What did you think of this month's projects? Are they like, nah, that's not for me? Or was there one that you liked over the other? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Next month is December. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to have for a video because it is busy holiday season. I might do a couple shorter videos or just my usual video if I can pull it off. But I'm really having fun doing these projects, so I'm hoping you're getting something creatively out of them. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next time.